pressure off the edge, and it's intercepted. D'Angelo Pond, roll out the big red carpet, touchdown Indiana.
It's time for the big red carpet. Here's your host, Rhett Lewis.
The days just keep getting better. What another great day to be an Indiana Hoosier. Welcome to the big red carpet. Appreciate you guys coming along for the ride. Once again, I am Rhett Lewis, and what a ride it has been from the Rose Bowl victory, first in program history, to portal madness. And Indiana is rolling in the portal, folks. Absolutely rolling. And I want to take some time just to kind of get an update on everything we've seen that has gone down today. It has been a wild day, and so many of the visits that Indiana was holding with potential portal transfers turned into commitments on today. And we've got some fun stuff I want to get to with Nick Marsh, who is one of the crown jewels of the class so far. But I truly believe you don't get Nick Marsh without having the plan in place at quarterback. And that is Josh Hoover, who has committed, according to multiple reports today, to transfer to Indiana, who was once committed to Indiana, then decommitted, ended up going to TCU at a record-setting season at TCU. Has been a really good player there in Fort Worth, went into the portal this year, and now looks like he is now headed to Indiana. To be the starter, presumably, is probably what most are thinking when you get a quarterback out of the portal. But we'll see what happens with Alberto Mendoza as well. Hoover is insanely talented. Quick story on Josh Hoover. I was doing, for NFL Network, coverage of the Big 12 Pro Day. It's a collective conference-wide pro day as part of the draft process for their players who are out of eligibility or have made the decision to declare for the draft. Most schools hold their own individual pro days, but the Big 12 Conference for the last couple of years has been holding a joint pro day, almost like a second combine. And we have aired it and broadcasted it on NFL Network the last couple of years. I was down there this year, and there weren't a ton of quarterbacks who were out there competing as draft-eligible quarterbacks. So Josh Hoover was one of the quarterbacks sitting there locally in Fort Worth. It was being held in Frisco, Texas, not far from Fort Worth and TCU's campus. And so Josh Hoover was one of the quarterbacks that was throwing to the receivers. And I remember talking to Sonny Dykes, the head coach at TCU, about him ahead of time. He's like, wait till you see Josh Hoover. This dude can absolutely spin it. He is going to be a star for us. And Sonny was right. I mean, like, he is. Now, he had some tough games this year. He had some great games this year and a lot to be excited about. But he had some games against Arizona State. I think he was sacked 6 times, threw a couple of picks, had a stretch where he threw 7 picks in 3 games. Had a tough one against BYU, but then had a terrific game against Cincinnati to end the regular season. Didn't play in the bowl game and then went into the portal. I think I'm reminded constantly that Curtis Rourke and Fernando Mendoza were not the players they were at the end of the year in week 1. Certainly not in spring or in fall camp. But the development continued. And so I am fired up to see what this coaching staff can do with Josh Hoover, because he's got all the skills and all the talent in the world. A little bit different build. He's 6'2", 200, whereas, Fernando's, bigger quarterback. But Josh has all the skills to be a terrific quarterback, and he will develop in a very positive way with Indiana's coaching staff and in this system. So that's fired. All right, so I've counted 7 commitments already. The latest, Josh Burnham, edge rusher from Notre Dame. We'll get into him in a second. And look, there's going to be time on Big Red Carpet on the Substack community, on the subscriber side, where I'm going to give you a film breakdown of each one of these transfer portal commits. I'm going to give you their top plays from the season, the things you can expect from them in a Hoosiers uniform. That's all going to be coming up. But I got to get to Nick Marsh because I've seen him play a couple of times in person now, having done a couple of Michigan State games for Big Ten Network. And I did the game against Youngstown State, in which Michigan State was coming off a big win over Boston College at the time, where Nick Marsh went off, especially in the second half. And so I will show you an interview I did pre-kick with Jonathan Smith, who, of course, since has been fired, Pat Fitzgerald, now the head coach of Michigan State. But the talk all week after the Boston College game, leading into the Youngstown game that we were doing, was that Nick Marsh essentially gave a Keyshawn Johnson-esque speech in the post-game press conference. He essentially said he went at halftime and told his coaches, hey, when it's one-on-one, give me the damn ball. And so I had some real fun with that in some of my sideline reports for Big Ten Network that day. I want to get to those. But because of that, one of my questions to Jonathan Smith pregame was about Nick Marsh and those comments. And so I want to play that pre-kick interview for you right now. Pay most attention to the second question, talking about Nick Marsh.
Coach, you called the 2 overtime win over BC a potential growth game. How does your preparation in the lead up and your execution today make this a growth week for your program?
Well, it is an opportunity to continue to grow. I thought last week we took some steps and wanted to build some confidence from that. I think it was a good week of work, did some good on good, all of that. We'll see how that plays out today.
Coach, Nick Marsh's competitive spirit called for the ball, right, last week. Using a phrase from Keyshawn Johnson, how do you get him the damn ball today?
Yeah, we're definitely going to work to do it. He's a special player, competitive kid. I will tell you, he's all about the team, and he thinks he can help the team by getting him the ball. We definitely want to do it.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Agreed. And I think that was universally the reaction to what Nick Marsh said post-game, which could have been construed as selfish and ego-centered and egotistical and all that. I didn't view it that way. Even then, I did not view it that way before he was a Hoosier, okay? Full disclosure. I viewed that as this is a dude with an immense competitive edge. And that is, I believe good things happen when I have the ball. When the situation allows for that to happen, I want the football. I want to make a play. That's what I viewed. And so that's what you're getting with Nick Marsh. Physical, big framed receiver. Tough at the catch point. He is really physical after the catch, too. Hard to bring down. Like, to me, he fits right into the Elijah Sarratt role for Indiana. So Elijah Sarratt's going to be gone to the NFL, but he fits right in to that role for me. And so I actually talked to Keyshawn Johnson about Nick Marsh leading into that game. And my buddies on Big Ten Network, Guy Haberman and Yogi Roth, great crewmates, great teammates, great friends, talented guys. We all kind of work together to integrate those comments from Nick, the comments from Keyshawn, and who Nick Marsh is as a player. And I think this 2.5 minute clip here from the game that day kind of describes it.
I'm like, look, coach, let's take a shot. And, you know, he trusted me with that, and we got back out there, took a shot, and, you know, just executed on it.
Were those the words you used, or was it a more dramatic conversation?
It was a little more demanding, actually. I told him, Coach, I got one-on-one coverage. Give me the damn ball.
How great is that? Off coverage, I'm going to him pretty regularly.
It was fun talking to Jonathan Smith about it this week. Of course, he goes, you know what, we looked at the numbers. He's right. We do need to get him the ball more. Here's Amari Kelly taking his turn and a first down. Rhett?
Yeah, guys, anybody watching Nick Marsh's talent would agree with his assessment. When he's one-on-one, you got to get him the damn ball, including the originator of that line, Keyshawn Johnson. So I had to get in touch with Keyshawn this week, who said that line wasn't really an ego-driven demand. It was a competitive confidence that just made good things happen when I have the ball. So naturally, I had to ask Key to look at Marsh's physical touchdown and see if it was worthy.
We'll get Keyshawn's thoughts on that. I have a feeling I know what he said. 6 of 6 for Childs to start this game. And Marsh comes back in. And Childs is looking for him. And then he checks it down to Kelly. Incomplete. And this is what Keyshawn Johnson told Rhett Lewis earlier this week.
This kid, Nick Marsh, is big and strong. As you can see, physical. He gets hit at about the 5-yard line. He carries 2 other guys into the end zone with him. And that's the type of player you want to just get a damn ball to.
Let's go, right? You get the seal of approval, right, from Keyshawn Johnson. Remember that? Get me the damn ball. That was the name of his book. It's a big part of it right there. And it was really cool to kind of talk with him about Nick Marsh. Loves what he's seen from number 6 in green.
When does Nick's book come out?
Good question.
I think he's writing it this season, fellas, with how he plays.
That's a great call. Here's Frazier. Well, I guess it came out last year to that point, Yogi, a freshman record. You saw the graphic earlier for yards and receptions here at Michigan State last year. The Enner's play today, 3 receiving touchdowns, tied for the league lead.
Well, I think to Rhett's point around competitive confidence, every great wideout we've ever been around, whether it was Rhett Lewis or Keyshawn Johnson or right here and Nick Marsh, and you got to have it. You know, you need the ball, and you also have to understand the holistic element of what wins games. That's why I love watching him when he's not having the ball target. He's still blocking downfield. He's not a lazy route runner away from the ball. He does a lot of those things to be a true, complete wideout.
Okay, that's the first and the last time that my name will ever be used in the same sentence as Keyshawn Johnson and Nick Marsh in terms of receiver skills. No question. That's why Yogi is such a great teammate, why Guy is such a great teammate. They know how to pump you up. But so Nick Marsh is a stud, man. He's an absolute stud. You don't need me to tell you that. But what I will tell you is he puts the ball in the paint. 9 touchdowns in 2 years, over 600 receiving yards each of the 2 years. He definitely has had some quarterback instability in his time there at Michigan State. I mean, Aiden Childs was really up and down, was turning the ball over a bunch early on last year or in 2024, and then kind of started to find his footing, but it kind of went off the rails again this year. They went to QB2, Alessio Milivojevic, and it was a bad year in East Lansing. Now they've got a new coaching staff and Nick Marsh as a new team, the Indiana Hoosiers. So just wanted to give you a little insight into who Nick Marsh really is. And I think by painting a picture of what the quarterback situation looks like, we have Josh Hoover, we have Alberto Mendoza, we have a steady group of quarterbacks, a really talented group of quarterbacks that can go out there and help, recruit high-level receivers like Nick Marsh and high-level players in general. Like I think Turbo Richard coming in, from Boston College as a big-time running back, actually has stats that are very similar to Kalon Black this year, and a size that's very similar to Kalon Black in terms of first downs that he was able to run and convert when he had the ball in his hands. Missed tackles forced, explosive plays, all right on with Kalon Black. So fits right in with this pipeline of running backs, the Boston College transfer. So a running back, a quarterback, a wide receiver, and then on the flip side, on the defensive side of the ball, 2 edge players. Clear what the emphasis was. Toby Osasami from Kansas State. Big time player. I mean, he was hurt for most of the season, but he played the first half of the season, had a monster game against Iowa State. He rushed the passer 16 times, achieved 6 pressures. That is a pressure rate of nearly 40%. He had 2 sacks in that game. So of the 6 pressures, he got home to the quarterback, got him on the ground twice. Again, Iowa State was a really good team. So you've seen enough on tape to know what this kid is capable of. And so as long as he is healthy enough, and which I'm sure you don't make that kind of commitment to a player like that if you don't think he is, and certainly sounds like he's going to be. And that's a big get off the edge. Joshua Burnham from Notre Dame comes in 6'4", 260 pounds, big physical dude. Again, I go through it, a 3-game stretch against Boston College, Navy, and Pitt, where he had 17 pressures over the course of those 3 games, 6, 6, and 5, 6, 5, and 6, and ended up also with how many? I think 2 more sacks in that period. Yep, he had 1 against Boston College and 1 against Notre Dame. His pressure rate, nearly 40% against Navy, over 42% against Pitt, 26%. Those are huge numbers to affect the quarterback. And if there's one thing that, Kyle Kamara being less than 100% at times this year, Kellen Wyatt being hurt, Daly being hurt against Alabama, what you miss there is the ability to win one-on-one when you need to, so that at times you don't have to send the extra pressure. You don't have to have, the creative, simulated pressure situation where you're trying to affect, like, you want to have all of it to be able to use it. But when you can just win one-on-ones, it makes your defense and your game plan and your defensive play caller gives them so much more flexibility. And so that's what Indiana is prioritizing here. Guys that can absolutely do that. To me, Toby Osunsami seems like a Kyle Kamara role in the boundary as the stud defensive end. Burnham feels a little bit more like a guy who could play in the field, a little bit more of that gritty role, 6'4", a little bit bigger frame, 260 pounds. Now, we'll see what happens when Derek Owings gets his hands on him. We might see that frame expand in a positive way. Also, in the secondary, Jaquan Sanks and Preston Zachman both coming over. Zachman from Wisconsin was the first commit of the day, I believe, and then Sanks followed a little bit later in the day. So 2 DBs into the fold. Zachman feels like a guy that probably plays a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage, maybe more that Lou Moore type role. Sanks at 5'10", 195 could maybe play that rover role or rotate in as a deep safety. I think if Amari Farrell comes back, then, you've got a really good group here. Now, what you don't have yet is that lockdown corner. If D'Angelo Ponce decides to go to the NFL, we'll see if that comes, or maybe Ponce decides to stay. And that would be awesome as well. So a few things to think about there with that group. 7 guys in the fold as it currently stands. Who knows? The night is still young here, at least in the Pacific time zone. By the time this comes out, there'll probably be more. Appreciate Galen Clavio at Crimson Cast, always continuing to get these edits out and get these posts published for us here on Big Red Carpet. Reminder to check out Future Fans, futurefans.com/Big Red Carpet. Get you 20% off. Great way to help your kids learn the game of football so that you can enjoy it with them, sharing that joy and passion for the game, and they'll want to sit and watch with you after playing Future Fans. It is a game that teaches them the game. If you want your kids, if you want to be able to share that experience of watching the Hoosiers over the course of the next 2 games, Peach Bowl, National Championship, and then into next season, give Future Fans a look. Futurefans.com/Big Red Carpet. Get you 20% off. Link will be in the description. All right, that's going to do it. Quick portal update episode for you guys, again, on Big Red Carpet on the Substack community. Coming up, it should be out. If it's not out by the time you're watching this, it'll be out in a matter of hours. Defensive tape breakdown from the Alabama game, from the Rose Bowl. Offensive film breakdown from the Rose Bowl should be out shortly if you don't see it already. And then coming up later this week, Oregon film session from their game against Texas Tech, in which they dominated that one to punch their ticket to the Peach Bowl. So all that and a few more football alumni surprises along the way. A lot more fun on Big Red Carpet. Get your subscription to the Substack right now is the way to do it to get the best content out there for the biggest Indiana football season we have ever seen. All right, guys, that's it. I'm Rhett Lewis. Thanks so much again for being with us. I'll see you out there on Substack and see you here as well, wherever you normally consume your Big Red Carpet content. Thanks for being a part of this fun run with us, and we'll catch you next time.